housing market in Winterville, North Carolina.
First, let's hit it. Hi, it's Alan Victoria. Welcome to our Talent Podcast.
And if this is your first time in our YouTube and podcast, make sure you subscribe and get notified.
Honestly, call text all the time at 252-327-3357. Don't be shy. Also, don't forget to grab our buyer's guide and the seller's guide in the description below.
Exactly.
Also, we're going to talk about some data that really shocked me when I pulled it all together. So I'm really excited to share what I had learned about my area. And especially when the government is dealing with it, when it's the federal government numbers, I'm looking at the zip code of 28590 for Winterville. So some of that might actually be in Greenville as well. So I kind of want to put that in there because I'm going by zip code for the income.
Exactly. And then we're going to deep dive into the income and basically categorize three main category, which is top 10 luxury, the 80 percentile that most of people afford, and low 10%.
Right. And when we get to the income again, I was a little surprised by this data that I collected, and I can't wait to share it with you. But first, let's talk about the luxury homes and what we're going to start with the luxury homes, okay?
Yes.
So starter luxury, just so you know, as we say in all videos, is the top 10% of all homes sold in an area. So when I look at the area, I say, okay, what is the, so I look at the total number, and then I just kind of divide, look at all the houses, go highest to lowest, and then just count what is 10%, what is 20%, and so forth and so forth. So we have data that goes with the price point. So starter luxury, which is the top 10% of all homes sold in Winterville, is going to start at $449,900.
Exactly.
All right, so that there were 32 homes in the starter luxury category.
Yes.
There are more coming, of course, because there's a lot of new construction in the area, but there is $449,900 is that top 10% starter luxury.
And if we go one level with top 5%, we had 26 houses, and it started really from $490 and above. What about the...
Now, if you want to be in the top 1% of all households sold here in Winterville area, it's going to start at $635K. So you can see that ultra elite number is very, very, affordable for many people in other parts of the country. It is expensive for us, but not expensive for other places. And I'm going to get into data, which is surprising as well in a few minutes. Now let's talk about the top 20%. Now we're going to get to the medium home, which is 20, 40, 60, 80% before we get to the lowest 10.
For the lower 80%...
No, start at the top. Top 20%.
Top 20%, we had 127 houses that start really from $380,000 to $425,000.
Right, it was a really specific number where I got there because again, I just high to low and counted. And then after that, the mid 40, which is, your median homes around here. This is 128 homes. They were starting at $315,000.
And then if you go a little bit lower, 127, again, houses in the mid 60, and it started from 262 and to above. Now,
the lower 80% started, there were 64 houses, it still counts as median, right? And they started at $196,000. So, and that goes all the way to $261,999.
Yes, and now we're going to go to the low 10%,
right?
Which for the 10%, we had 32 houses, and it started from $140,000.
Right, and then you go down to that, another 25 houses sold for $104,000 to $139,000, and then
the cheapest or lowest 1% start from $80,000.
So when we look at these numbers, we can already see, and I hope you're loving our graphs around as well, but you can see most of the houses are going to be mid-range as they're supposed to be. But
exactly.
The cheapest homes are going to be $80,000 minimum, and that's like for a fixer-upper because people just want to be in Winterville. Now, here is where the data really surprised me, but didn't surprise me, because when I looked at it, I said, okay, it makes sense. But I didn't know until I did the math.
Again, this data comes from exactly the census data of the U.S. government, and they categorize it basically in 7 to 8 categories. Mm-hmm. And really, we want to deep dive to it, that what is the income portfolio is with people, the residents of the Winterville, North Carolina.
Now, notice how I don't have the lowest one on this one because the number really didn't exist, which was crazy to me. So less than $25,000 is 10% of the market. Let me repeat that. $25,000, you can still buy a home. You're just going to be harder to put together, but you're 10% of Winterville.
Exactly. And then when you go to the higher portfolio from $25,000 to $50,000, income per year, we are talking about 21.9%.
Right, which again, decent, have two incomes, afford a decent house. When you go to 50 to 75,
we have just 11.8% people, residents in Winterville.
Okay, so when you go to 75 to 99,000, it was 14.1% of the data.
Which is, as you see, by increasing income, also the percentage is increasing.
Well, what is 100,000 and more?
And 100 to 149.99 or 150, it goes to 23.9%. That's a big number.
Right, and then after that, you go to 150 to 200,000, really, and that was 6% more. And then
in 200 range above, we still are 7.2%, which is completely opposite of Greenville, North Carolina.
Right. So, I mean, again, this is the zip code a lot, right? So let's talk about that median income as well. So the median...
Therefore, here now we're going to summarize for you base of data, basically bullet point what is important.
Right, and then we're just going to give you like some basic numbers here as well. These are very, very basic numbers, and they're not going to be based on your situation. So we were just giving you basic, like, base numbers. So your situation is unique. Everybody's financial data is different. You might be at that 580. You might be at that 800. I don't know all of your data to give you a number for you. I can only give you a number based on basic generalities, and we're not lenders either way. So.
And then when the interest rate that we were talking about June, July of 2023. Maybe at the time that you're watching this video, we have a different interest rate. But for this time in 2023, that is what the data tells us.
Okay, so the median income in our area was $80,199 in Winterville.
Which is really great.
Which means you can definitely afford a house and a new construction house at that.
And the mean income for Winterville, North Carolina is $95,015.
Okay, so let's talk about if you want to buy that top 10% of all homes here in Winterville.
Therefore, for some of you that you wanted to start from the luxury home purchasing, that is what you need to pay attention to.
Okay, absolutely. So we're just giving you some basic numbers. For a high end, you want 7.2% interest rate with a down payment of 3.5%. I know that's basic numbers. Your situation's probably different, but 7.2%, 3.5% down for a $450,000 home. Your monthly payment, including taxes, interest, home insurance, is going to be around $3,700 a month.
Exactly. And this is the starter luxury.
Right.
That is including the principal, interest, property tax, and also home mortgage insurance.
Right. So if you're now in the median or mean income in the Winterville area and your income is about $95,000,
exactly,
you can still buy brand new construction. You can still make it gorgeous. You can still get a previously owned house, and you can still absolutely afford it. However, they're not going to be in the top 10%. But either way, if you're buying luxury, you're going to be spending 66% of your income, and that is not feasible.
Exactly. That's why it's so important to understand all these numbers, because that's matches to portfolio of your income.
Now let's just hypothetically say you were in that 10% of people. How much was it? I said 10%, right? Let me just confirm.
Exactly.
If you're in that 10% of people who are under $25,000, you can still buy a home. Absolutely. We have a whole video above, the link above, where it has valuable information on how to really kind of budget yourself to buy a home.
But what is the base point is? Base point is really, we wanted to tell you that for every portfolio of the home buyers, there is a home out there.
Right. And we wanted to give you the numbers and the data so that you saw it for yourself. And when people say, hey, what about Winterville? When we're talking to clients who say, oh, Greenville, we say, well, what about Winterville? And they don't know what it is. Now we have data for you to know. And if you have any questions or you want to move here to Winterville, we're super excited to talk to you at 252-327-3357. Call and text, we're there.
Exactly. And don't forget to subscribe in our podcast and YouTube channel to support us, and have a wonderful day.